Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Waypoint. Today we are doing something we have not done in a very long time in this series, and we are playing Destiny 1. And if you've been keeping up with the video game news this week, it's going to be fairly obvious just why we're playing Destiny, and I'll talk a lot more about that in a moment. But first of all, I just want to say, I'm out of practice, okay? I'm out of practice, and I jumped into a campaign mission about midway through the base game story, and I believe I'm a little bit undergeared for it as well, and I actually fail at the end of a video. I'm just gonna get that out of the way, but I do play through the bulk of it. It's just meant to be background gameplay footage, and I beat my head against it a few more times before I was like, you know what? I've got what I need. But yeah, long-time viewers of A Weekly Waypoint, I'm not sure if they exist, they will remember that Destiny 2 used to be one of the main games I played for this series. I used to play Crucible, and it was pretty much Overwatch or Destiny 2, and that was like the main two games that I would play for the background footage. Now, why are we not playing Crucible in Destiny 1? Well, first of all, actually, why are we even playing Destiny 1 in the first place? Well, first of all, I remember queuing for Crucible on Destiny 1 last time I played this a couple of years ago, and nobody was playing. So I assume that's still the case. The second reason, I don't currently have Xbox Game Pass, and therefore I'm not allowed to play multiplayer games because I haven't paid the tax, and I'm not gonna pay the tax. I am playing this on Xbox Series S footage. This is backwards compatibility, of course. I own it over there on Xbox, and it's the first time I've booted up my Xbox in a very long time. I'm still not interested in getting back into the Xbox ecosystem. This was very much just a means to an end. So I figured I'd show some mission gameplay instead. And I actually love Destiny Crucible, but as far as like background footage goes, I feel like this is probably a little bit more interesting. But yeah, why Destiny 1? The answer's pretty simple. I haven't booted Destiny 2 since 2020, and I'm not going to reinstall 150 gigabytes worth of game and try and figure out what the hell's going on just to grab some footage. But yeah, okay, finally, let's get to the lead. Destiny 2 is getting its last content update in about a week, a little bit more than a week, and despite having not played the game for 6 years, I have some emotions about that. I actually wrote a blog post about it over on kritigri.wordpress.com, haven't done that in a while, called A Legacy of Squandered Potential, Goodbye Destiny 2. That should tell you all you need to know, and I'm not going to regurgitate everything in that post and everything that I feel about that game here in this video, but the abridged version is the two main reasons I fell off of is too generous a term, decided to quit Destiny 2 was A, the seasonal structure with the FOMO tactics, and we're going to have a narrative in each season, so don't go anywhere, and then the narrative amounts to pretty much nothing in the seasonal storylines. It fails to address cliffhangers from the expansion stories, and it's just a great big fat load of shonen filler arc nonsense. But then the other bigger reason why I quit Destiny 2 for good was they just started deleting campaigns and worlds and stuff like that, and to me, that showed a fundamental disconnect from the leadership at Bungie of what was important about Destiny. It kind of told me all they cared about was endgame, all they cared about was the live seasonal structure, and while those were major parts of the game, I think, removing content A that we paid for and B that we liked to play was absolutely atrocious, and I still have not forgiven them for it. I don't permanently quit live service games or MMOs. I accept that if one of them pisses me off, it'll probably be fixed within a few years and I'll be back when it is. With Destiny, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. However, I have heard that in the interim years, it has had times where it has been good, with the Witch Queen, with, the Final Shape, that's what it's called. And luckily, it would seem they stopped vaulting content from exactly the spot where I've never played, which is Beyond Light onwards. If I wanted to, I could pick up all of the Destiny 2 DLCs and play through all of the campaigns that I've never touched. All of the stuff that I have played, not so much. That's not in the game anymore. Everything I know and love, sorry, we deleted that to save space and get people playing the new stuff. And that's another reason we're playing Destiny 1, and that's because I really respect that Destiny 1 is a game that is still online, and that allows people to, in a linear form, play through every campaign that is here, and has, with the Moments of Triumph stuff, I believe it's called, has some kind of like end game. Even though it's not like a live service end game, it's like a, hey, you can work on these particular challenges and get cosmetic rewards and stuff for it. And I believe that's what they're aiming to do in Destiny 2 as well, except of course for differences, everything is available here in Destiny 1. And while I've still never finished Destiny 1, I am hit with a surprising amount of nostalgia for it when I visited the tower and all that stuff, and I heard the original soundtrack, and it's like, oh man, maybe part of that is just that I haven't touched any Destiny game in 6 years. That's not true, I have played a bit of Destiny 1 a couple years ago. But it just takes me back to when I first stepped into this universe, back on PS3, way back in yonder years, and I wish I'd kept up with it because, you know, I love this universe. One of the reasons I'm so sad to see it end is that I legitimately love the story and the themes and like the different planets and what they've done on them and the different aliens, like, you know, the Hive and the freaking, I know another alien species. I haven't been away from the game that long. Come on, the Legion the Cabal and the Vex and all that stuff, and they're all suitably different and have different sci-fi themes about them that they represent, and different weak points and different histories, and it's all very cool. And the other thing I've always loved about Destiny is the fact that it's post-apocalyptic but also post-rebuilding. And I don't know whether to call it a near future or a far future story. It's kind of like a mid-future story, but it's very science fantasy, which I like as well. And I just love like the lore of the golden age, which is in our future, right, but in their past, which is when they went across the solar system and terraformed a bunch of places and settled these worlds. And it's not very often that you get a science fiction story which is entirely localized within our solar system, so that was cool as well, because everything felt very local. It felt very like tangible, of like, oh, this is Io, that's a moon of Jupiter. Oh god, am I gonna have to hand in my Space Geek card? Io. Hang on, let me look this up. Yeah, that's a Jupiter satellite right there. And I love being on the moon and all that stuff, and yeah. I'm gonna try not to focus too much on what annoyed me in Destiny 2, and just kind of sit here and appreciate what Destiny was, and all the things it did right. And they have mentioned that on June 9th, which is my birthday by the way, they're going to be releasing a Destiny 2 The Collection, which is gonna bundle every DLC, and also they're gonna do like permanent like price cuts for the existing DLCs, just in case people, you know, only need the last one or whatever. And I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I am tempted to finally return to Destiny 2 and play through every campaign from Beyond Light to whatever the most recent one was. And I know people who love Destiny 2 are probably going to tell me, oh, you can skip this one or that one, some of them are stinkers. I don't care. I want to see all the good and I want to see all the bad. I still harbour curiosity about where that story went, and I wish I could play it over from the start. If I could play it from all the Destiny 2 stuff from the start as well, I would start in Destiny 1 and do a straight shot all the way from start to finish. It wouldn't even be a question. Although, actually, maybe it would. Because the main reason I'm kind of holding off on that is I don't want to reward Sony for killing Destiny, you know what I mean? Like, I don't... I reckon, depending on the price, it might be controversial. Because if it's like a full £60 bundle, which I can see it being very easily, I feel like people are going to go, oh, Sony are just cash grabbing this, like getting as much money as they can out of people before it dies. And I don't want to be party to that. I don't want to reward them for mishandling Bungie, or Bungie leadership for mishandling the game. I don't know. I don't know enough about behind the scenes stuff because I haven't really been following it, but from what I understand, there's blame to be shared. But on a more selfish level, I'm aware that the servers won't be alive forever, even though they have said that they do plan to keep them online. Nothing lasts forever, my son, and I don't want that curiosity to remain unfulfilled. So yeah, if it's cheap enough, maybe. If not, maybe I'll wait for a sale, because I'm sure the servers will still be up for a number of years. But I'm very conflicted. Let's leave it at that. What I would love is if they decided to repackage every single Destiny 2 campaign and location, and Strike and Raid and Crucible as well, why not, in a single package that can be played offline, you know? Like, make it something where you can invite your friends on Steam into fire teams, but you don't necessarily have always online servers or anything like that. But, of course, to do that, they would have to care enough about the franchise to put development staff on modifying the game into being something that could do that. And from what I've heard, they straight up do not have the original base game Destiny 2 stuff anymore. Like, they literally deleted it and didn't like keep it on their servers anywhere and lost the files, which is insane. But yeah, I can dream. But once again, business ruins art, I guess. Thanks, business people. Hope the money was nice. But anyway, that's quite enough Destiny talk. Destiny talk in the weekly waypoint in the year of our Lord 2026. Who could have seen that coming? Not me. Anyway, what else have I been playing this week? Well, mostly it's been Diablo 4. I'm still 100% addicted to Diablo 4, although I have hit a bit of a wall. I've hit Torment 7, which is out of 12 in terms of difficulty, and I'm on like the third to last season progression tier. And I think what I basically need to do is grind a lot of the pit, because from what I can tell, from what the game's kind of indicating to me, I'm way behind on Paragon glyphs and nodes and upgrades and stuff like that, and I've been told that's where a large percentage of character power comes from. And I'm absolutely down to do that, but at the same time, there is part of me that goes, so I don't know. Maybe Diablo 4's days are numbered for now, although there is meant to be an event starting today as of the time of publication, so maybe that'll keep me going. As a quick side note, Path of Exile 2 had a free weekend, and I did actually download it, which meant uninstalling Diablo 4 to make space for it and downloading a different 120GB ARPG, playing it for 20 minutes and going, yeah. I'll come back to this when it's like permanently free to play. It's not, I don't feel like it's quite as much of a bounce off as Path of Exile 1 was to me several times, but the immediate reaction I had was I would rather be playing Diablo 4, which is completely opposite to what a lot of people have, I know. I still can't quite put my finger on what it is about Path of Exile that just doesn't vibe with me, but so far it's not doing it. But Path of Exile 2 definitely does feel like an improvement over 1, so, you know, maybe when I revisit that later down the line with a proper, like, stab at it, then maybe then. I've also been playing some Diablo 2, Resurrected Infernal Edition on my Warlock, which I probably mentioned last week. I still haven't got all that far in that game because, again, my focus has mostly been on Diablo 4, but I do not regret picking it up, and it is nice to just kind of boot up and spend like half an hour to an hour whacking demons and appreciating the kind of more methodical approach to a Diablo game that 2 had, as opposed to some of the more turbo speed bullshit that 3 and 4 have, which I love. Much like WoW Retail and WoW Classic, when I'm in the WoW headspace, I can appreciate both. Also this week, I decided to pick up Warhammer 40k, or what's it going to be? It could still be like 30 different games. Rogue Trader, which for those of you not in the know is the CRPG by Owlcat Games, developers of the Pathfinder Kingmaker and Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous CRPGs, which are both pretty solid. Now, I've never finished a CRPG. I've yet to fully get invested in the Warhammer 40k universe, but dang it, I enjoyed what I played of Rogue Trader when I had Game Pass, although I never got fully invested in it because, again, RPG, Game Pass, temporary nature in terms of whether it's available on the service or not. I'm not going to get quite as invested in it as I would if I owned it. Whereas now, I do! And I've got further in it than I ever have before, and I'm really enjoying it, actually. The combat's really fun. The characters are real fun too, and I'm really enjoying kind of exploring the Warhammer universe and learning about the lore in that kind of environment. Again, I doubt I'll finish it. It's like a 130-hour campaign or something, but I'm really enjoying like talking to all the people and exploring all the dialogue options and stuff like that. I'm treating it a bit like a book, which you probably should when you're playing a CRPG. I'm playing as a bastard noble, so a noble with a mark of shame or whatever, and she is a soldier and she kicks ass. I like that you kind of have free moral options in terms of choices you can make when it comes to that point in the story. You can have the, oh god, let's see if I can remember them all, dogmatic one, which is, you know, faith in the Emperor and all that stuff, my life for the Emperor, all that good, holy, righteous shenanigans. You can have heretical, which is the opposite of that, you know, embracing the chaos, embracing the gods of the warp. And then you can have iconoclast, which is, I care about people and I don't want my friends to die, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards at the minute. But now that I say it out loud, it does kind of seem like the most boring option. I was inspired by Hadrian Marlowe of Sun Eater, who is very much a character within a empire, which is very problematic, and he is in some ways quite problematic as well, and he still does his best to do right by the people that he can affect change with, and I quite like that about him, so I thought I'll be that character in Warhammer 40k. But now I'm like, oh, I could be shouting for the Emperor every 5 seconds, and that could be fun as well, I don't know. I am also tempted to pick up Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 while it's ridiculously cheap, because that was a game I was tempted to pick up when it was full price. But fam, there are only so many 100GB games I can play at a time. I still might do it, but I don't know. We'll see. My birthday's coming up, so I'm getting a little bit splurgy. But again, this is cheap. So was Rogue Trader, and I like me some cheap good games. I've also been continuing Lego Batman. I'm actually still not that far through that game. I kind of expected to be gunning through it, like a lot of people seem to have. But despite really enjoying it, I am kind of taking my time with it, and part of that is, again, Diablo 4 really does have me in a chokehold. You don't understand. I need to do the bit. I need to reach higher torment difficulties. I need to progress my season pass. I don't have a choice in the matter. Hell calls to me. But as you may have seen through yesterday's video, I have spent some time dispensing Lego flavored justice, and that game's real great. That game's real fun. It feels like a perfection of the Lego formula. It feels like it addresses a lot of the issues I had with the Skywalker Saga that I didn't really know I had until I saw them addressed here. Such as having proper levels again. Like, in the Skywalker Saga, they did the thing where, like, a lot of the story was told in the open world, which was fine, but then the outright missions were just not that great. Whereas here in Lego Batman, they are actually kind of the star of the show. Also, Lego Star Wars had it's a small thing, but it had a thing where if you saved up enough studs right from the outset, you could buy stud multipliers. And I was focusing on that from the very beginning because it was the most efficient way of collecting studs. And, you know, what do they say about gamers? They will, what's the saying? They will optimize the fun out of anything if you let them. And unfortunately, that was one of those game design decisions, because it felt like I was wasting studs if I spent them on anything else and wasn't just saving up for the stud multipliers, which meant I wasn't buying any of those upgrades, which I should have been buying. And yeah, it's nice to have in Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, you know, you're encouraged to spend your studs and your upgrade currency and stuff as soon as possible, really. Also, I was a little bit worried about the lack of playable characters, but actually, it's absolutely fine. It's, you know, like, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing in other Lego games or anything like that, but it's very much like, you only really have a few playable characters in all the other Lego games anyway, you just then get reskins of them as different characters, right? Like, there's only so many archetypal characters in these games, like in Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. You know, you had like the droid characters and the bounty hunter characters and the Jedi characters and so on and so forth, and they would all do the same stuff. Whereas this feels tighter, more focused, and instead the collection element is more focused on finding different bat suits and different suits for your other characters, and, you know, different Batmobiles and different color schemes for everything and stuff like that. Also, I really like how it feels to collect studs in that game, and that's a pretty important thing to get right. I like that we've got rid of the whole, like, collect enough studs within each level to get, like, the you're a true Jedi or you're a true Avenger or whatever. I didn't realize how much I didn't like that until they took it out, and now you just have one currency or one stud counter throughout all levels across the game, and it just feels nicer. But yeah, I haven't really done much of the open world stuff so far, partially because the performance on my 3060 isn't that great and it puts me off a little bit. I mean, it runs fine, mostly, probably sitting at around 40 to 60 frames a second depending on the environment, but boy does it make my fans go, and I don't like that, even though I shouldn't care. But yeah, I'm taking my time with it and I'm having fun. It really is a love letter to all things Batman, and I blame it for the recent purchase I made, because I picked up the DC Finest volume of Batman: The Case of the Chemical Syndicate, which includes the very first Batman comics ever published from the 1930s and the 1940s, and I'm having more fun with it than I expected. Actually, I thought it would just mostly be a collection piece, but it's actually pretty fun to read. Like, go check out Kritigri Talk Stories, because I uploaded a short over there the other day, which is basically me reacting to one of these stories, and I think I'm going to do more of that if it goes down well. But anyway, this is me fending off thralls, failing miserably to dodge incoming bullets and getting stressed out. I will say, the FOV being so limited doesn't help here, and also being stuck at 30 frames a second doesn't help either. Also, me wandering into damaging fog is another thing that doesn't help, but let's ignore that for now, because a good worker always blames his tools. I really do need to stick with Destiny 1 at some point and do a proper playthrough of it start to finish, you know, all expansions and everything, because I do really like it, and I really appreciate that it's still available to play, and that it's this kind of like frozen state of the game where you can work on it and like try and get these upgrades or like these cosmetics through these moments of triumph, and there's like a community of players, like a small niche community, who keep playing it and doing the raids and stuff. I really love that stuff, and this is probably what's going to become of Destiny 2 as well. Again, no, Destiny 2 will always remain an incomplete game, which means Destiny 1 will always be a superior experience in that regard. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to end it here as I die. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment letting me know what you think about Destiny, and I will catch you on whatever I make next.